My beloved brothers and sisters, value is not something people give you. It is something you build within yourself. And true worth is not measured by attention, beauty, or status. It is measured by your connection with your Creator, your character, and the way you carry your soul through this temporary life. A woman becomes truly high value when she understands who she is, a servant of Allah before anything else. When her heart is attached to her salah, when she turns to Allah, not only in hardship, but also in ease, she gains a strength that nothing in this world can shake. The world may try to define you, but when Allah defines you, you are already honored. The first habit is protecting your relationship with Allah. Never underestimate the power of a sincere dua in the darkness of the night. People may not see your struggles, but Allah sees every tear, and that connection elevates you in ways no dunya ever can. The second habit is modesty and dignity. And understand this, modesty is not weakness, it is power, it is ihtiram for yourself. When you know your worth, you do not feel the need to display yourself for validation. You carry yourself with quiet confidence because you know you are valuable. The third habit is seeking knowledge. A smart woman is not just educated in worldly matters, but she understands her deen. She knows right from wrong. She reflects before she speaks. She grows continuously. Knowledge protects you from being misled, and it gives you clarity in a world full of confusion. The fourth habit is emotional control and patience. Life will test you. People will test you. But your strength is shown in how you respond. Not every argument deserves your reaction. Not every pain needs to be displayed. Sometimes the strongest response is silence, patience, and trust in Allah. The fifth habit is self-respect and boundaries. You are not available for everyone's approval. You are not here to please the creation at the cost of displeasing the Creator. Learn to say no when needed. Walk away from what harms your dignity. The one who knows her worth does not chase what is not written for her. And finally, never forget, a truly high-value woman is one who spreads kindness and goodness. She uplifts others, not competes with them. She forgives. Even when it is difficult, she brings light into people's lives because her heart is connected to the one who is the source of all light. My dear sisters, the dunya will fade. Beauty will fade. Beauty will fade. Trends will fade. But your iman, your character, and your deeds, these are what will remain. So build yourself in a way that even when everything is taken away, you still have Allah. And when you have Allah, you have everything. May Allah elevate you, protect you, and make you among those whose value is recognized in the dunya and the akhirah. Amen. There is a deep strength that forms within a woman when her heart is firmly connected to Allah. It is a strength that people cannot always see, but they feel it in her presence. It reflects in her calmness during hardship, her gratitude during ease, and her ability to stand firm when everything around her is shaking. This connection is not built overnight. It is nurtured through consistency, sincerity, and a quiet commitment that only Allah fully knows. When a woman protects her relationship with Allah, she begins to understand her true worth. She no longer measures herself by the opinions of people, by social standards, or by temporary trends. Instead, she measures herself by her closeness to her Creator. This shifts everything. The need for validation slowly fades because she knows that the one who created her sees her efforts, hears her duas, and understands her struggles better than anyone else ever could. Salah becomes more than just a routine. It becomes a refuge. In a world that constantly demands attention, energy, and perfection, those few moments standing before Allah become a place of peace. It is where she puts down her burdens, even if just for a few minutes. Even on the days when motivation is low, she shows up because she understands that consistency matters more than perfection. And in that consistency, her heart softens and strengthens at the same time. Her connection with Allah also transforms the way she handles difficulties. Life does not become free of problems, but her perspective changes. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? She begins to trust that everything has a purpose. She learns patience, not as a passive state, but as an active form of strength. She holds herself together when she feels like falling apart, not because she is emotionless, but because she knows that Allah is in control. Dua becomes her private conversation, her safe space. There are things she cannot explain to people, emotions she cannot put into words, and moments when she feels completely alone. But when she raises her hands, she knows she is not alone. she speaks, even if her voice trembles, and she trusts that Allah listens. Sometimes the answer comes quickly, and sometimes it takes time, but her certainty in Allah does not shake. That certainty itself becomes a source of peace. A strong connection with Allah also builds discipline. It teaches her to prioritize what truly matters. She begins to organize her life around her faith instead of fitting her faith into whatever time is left. This changes her choices, her habits, and even the people she surrounds herself with. She becomes more mindful of her actions, knowing that every small deed carries weight in the sight of Allah. There is also a unique kind of confidence that grows from this connection. It is not loud or attention-seeking. It's quiet, grounded, and unshakable. She does not feel the need to prove herself to everyone because she knows who she is in the sight of Allah. Even when others misunderstand her, underestimate her, or walk away from her, she remains steady. Her identity is not tied to people. It is anchored in her faith. And perhaps one of the most beautiful outcomes of this connection is the sense of contentment it brings. She may not have everything she wants, but she feels at peace with what she has. She learns to say Alhamdulillah not only in moments of joy, but also in moments of difficulty. Gratitude becomes a natural part of her mindset, and this gratitude protects her from constant dissatisfaction. In the end, a woman who is connected to Allah carries something priceless within her. It reflects in her patience, her decisions, her character, and her resilience. Even if the world does not always recognize her value, Allah does. And that alone is enough to elevate her beyond what any worldly standard could ever define. Modesty and dignity are among the most powerful qualities a woman can carry, yet they are often misunderstood in a world that equates value with visibility. True modesty is not about limitation, it is about liberation. It frees a woman from the constant pressure to seek approval, to compete for attention, and to measure her worth through the eyes of others. When she understands modesty correctly, she realizes it is not something that diminishes her, but something that elevates her. Dignity begins from within. It is the way a woman sees herself before anyone else sees her. When she knows her worth, she naturally carries herself with ihtiram and self-control. She does not feel the need to prove herself through appearance or loud presence. Instead, her strength lies in her composure, her choices, and the quiet confidence that speaks without words. People may not always understand it, but they recognize it. There is a certain ihtiram that follows a woman who respects herself. Modesty is not only in clothing, although that is an important part of it. It is also in speech, behavior, and intention. The way she talks, the way she interacts, and even the way she presents her thoughts all reflect her inner values. She chooses her words carefully, avoiding harshness and unnecessary exposure. She understands that not everything needs to be shared, not every moment needs to be displayed, and not every opinion needs to be displayed. This sense of restraint is not weakness, it is wisdom. In a world where attention is easily gained, but rarely meaningful, a modest woman does not chase it. She knows that constant exposure often comes at the cost of inner peace. Instead of seeking to be seen by everyone, she focuses on being valued by the right people and, more importantly, by Allah. This mindset protects her from many forms of harm, both emotional and spiritual. It allows her to move through life with clarity, knowing that her value is not dependent on temporary admiration. Dignity also means setting standards for how others treat you. A woman who values herself does not tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or behavior that compromises her principles. She does not lower her standards to fit into environments that do not align with her values. If anything, she walks away with grace. Walking away is not always easy, but it is often necessary to protect one's dignity. And the one who protects her dignity is always honored, even if that honor is not immediately visible. There is also strength in how she handles attention when it does come her way. She does not let praise inflate her ego, nor does she let criticism break her. She remains balanced, understanding that people's opinions change, but her values should remain steady. This emotional stability is part of her modesty because it reflects a heart that is not controlled by external validation. Modesty also creates a sense of mystery and ihtiram. Not everything about her is easily accessible, and that in itself adds to her value. In a time where oversharing has become normal, the ability to hold back, to keep certain aspects of life private, is a rare and admirable quality. It shows that she understands boundaries not only with others, but also with herself. At its core, modesty is deeply connected to Iman. It is a reflection of a woman's awareness that Allah is always watching, always aware. This awareness influences her choices even in moments when no one else is around. She dresses, speaks, and behaves in a way that aligns with her faith, not because she is forced to, but because she chooses to. That choice is what makes her strong. Dignity and modesty together create a powerful presence. A woman who embodies these qualities does not need to demand respect. She naturally earns it. She does not need to chase value. She becomes valuable. And even in a world that may sometimes misunderstand her, she remains firm, knowing that true honor comes from staying true to her principles. The pursuit of knowledge and wisdom is one of the most empowering journeys a woman can take, because it shapes not only what she knows, but who she becomes. Knowledge is light, and when that light enters the heart and mind, it removes confusion, strengthens judgment, and brings clarity to life's decisions. A woman who seeks knowledge is not easily shaken by trends, opinions, or pressure, because she understands the difference between truth and illusion. This journey begins with intention. When she seeks knowledge for the sake of growth and to please Allah, it transforms into something far greater than information. It becomes a form of worship. Every moment spent learning, reflecting, and understanding carries reward, and more importantly, it builds a deeper awareness of purpose. She is no longer living blindly. She is living with direction. A truly smart woman is not defined only by academic success or worldly achievements. While those are valuable, her intelligence is rooted in balance. She gives attention to her Deen just as much as she gives attention to her dunya. She learns about her responsibilities, her rights, and her role in this world. She understands what pleases Allah and what distances her from Him. This knowledge protects her from making choices that could harm her in the low. NG-run wisdom grows when knowledge is applied. It is not enough to simply know. What matters is how that knowledge influences behavior. A woman who is wise reflects before she speaks, thinks before she acts, and considers consequences before making decisions. She does not rush into situations based on emotions alone. Instead, she pauses, evaluates, and chooses what aligns with her values. This ability to pause and reflect is a sign of maturity and depth. The pursuit of knowledge also builds confidence, but not the loud, attention-seeking kind. Builds a quiet confidence that comes from understanding. When she knows what she is talking about, she does not feel the need to argue unnecessarily or prove herself in every conversation. She speaks with purpose, and when she chooses silence, it is intentional, not because she feels inferior. This balance between speaking and remaining silent is a mark of true intelligence. Another important aspect of seeking knowledge is humility. The more she learns, the more she realizes how much she does not know. This keeps her grounded. She remains open to learning from others, regardless of their status or background. She does not allow pride to block her growth. Instead, she listens, observes, and continuously improves herself. This humility makes her approachable and respected at the same time. Knowledge also protects her from being misled. In a world full of misinformation and conflicting messages, it is easy to become confused. But a woman who seeks knowledge is able to filter what she hears. She does not accept everything blindly, nor does she reject everything without understanding. She asks questions, seeks evidence, and strives to understand matters deeply. This protects her from falling into harmful patterns or following paths that lead her away from her values. Her environment begins to change as well. She becomes more conscious of the company she keeps because she understands the influence people have on her thoughts and actions. She gravitates towards those who encourage growth, who remind her of Allah, and who inspire her to become better. At the same time, she distances herself from environments that promote negativity or distraining. The beauty of this journey is that it never ends. No matter how much she learns, there is always more to discover. This keeps her mind active and her heart engaged. She continues to grow, not just in knowledge, but in wisdom, character, and understanding. In the end, a woman who pursues knowledge becomes a source of benefit, not only for herself, but for others. She guides, supports, and uplifts those around her with insight and sincerity. Her words carry weight because they are rooted in understanding. And even in moments of uncertainty, she is able to navigate life with a sense of clarity that sets her apart. Emotional intelligence and patience are among the most powerful forms of strength a woman can develop, because they shape how she responds to the world rather than how the world controls her. Many people think strength is about reacting quickly, speaking loudly, or defending oneself in every situation, but true strength often lies in restraint. It lies in the ability to understand emotions, manage them wisely, and respond in a way that brings peace rather than regret. A woman who develops emotional intelligence begins by understanding herself. She becomes aware of her feelings without being overwhelmed by them. She recognizes when she is hurt, angry, or frustrated, but she does not allow those emotions to dictate her actions. Instead, she pauses. That pause is powerful. It gives her the space to think, to reflect, and to choose a response that aligns with her values rather than reacting impulsively in the heat of the moment. Patience is deeply connected to this. It is not about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. It is about tahmil, about holding yourself together when things are difficult. Life will test her in many ways, through relationships, expectations, disappointments, and moments of uncertainty. But instead of breaking at every challenge, she learns to endure with grace. She understands that not every situation needs an immediate reaction, and not every problem needs to be solved instantly. One of the most beautiful qualities of emotional intelligence is the ability to respond rather than react. There is a big difference between the two. Reaction is quick, often driven by emotion, and sometimes leads to regret. Response, on the other hand, is thoughtful, controlled, and guided by aql and faith. A woman who responds instead of reacts protects her peace and avoids unnecessary conflict. She chooses her battles wisely, understanding that not everything deserves her energy. This also reflects in how she deals with people. She becomes more understanding, more empathetic. She tries to see beyond actions and consider what might be behind them. This does not mean she tolerates wrongdoing, but it allows her to handle situations with wisdom instead of anger. She knows when to address something and when to let it go. Letting go is not weakness. Sometimes it is the strongest decision she can make. Patience also teaches her to trust timing. Not everything happens when she wants it to, and not everything unfolds according to her plans. There are delays, disappointments, and moments where things simply do not make sense, but instead of becoming bitter, she holds on to the belief that Allah's timing is always perfect. This belief gives her Ameen, a sense of calm even in uncertainty. She continues to move forward without losing hope. Emotional intelligence also protects her relationships. But that's a bit low, spoken in anger can leave lasting damage. But a woman who controls her emotions thinks before she speaks. She understands the weight of her words and chooses them carefully. Even in moments of disagreement, she maintains respect. This does not mean she stays silent when something is wrong, but she addresses it with wisdom and composure. There is also a quiet dignity in the way she handles criticism and negativity. Not every comment needs a response. Not every opinion needs to be challenged. She learns to filter what she takes in and what she lets go of. This protects her mental and emotional well-being. Instead of being affected by every negative word, she remains steady, focused on what truly matters. Over time, this emotional control builds resilience. She becomes stronger, not because life becomes easier, but because she becomes better at handling it. Challenges that once overwhelmed her now become opportunities for growth. She learns from her experiences, reflects on her reactions, and continuously improves herself. In the end, a woman who masters emotional intelligence and patience carries a sense of peace within her. She is not easily shaken by the ups and downs of life. She moves with calmness, thinks with clarity, and acts with purpose. This inner stability becomes one of her greatest strengths, setting her apart in a world where many are controlled by their emotions rather than in control of them. Self-respect and setting healthy boundaries are essential qualities that shape a woman's sense of identity and protect her from being diminished by the expectations or behaviors of others. When a woman truly respects herself, it reflects in the way she thinks, the choices she makes, and the standards she refuses to compromise. It is not arrogance, nor is it pride. It is a deep understanding that her worth is not negotiable and that she has a responsibility. or protect her kalban, her time and her energy. A woman with self-respect does not seek validation from everyone around her. She understands that not everyone will appreciate her, agree with her, or value her presence, and that is perfectly fine. She does not exhaust herself trying to fit into spaces where she is not respected. Instead, she chooses environments that align with her values and uplift her ruha. This ability to choose wisely is a sign of strength, because it requires her to walk away from what is familiar but harmful. Setting boundaries is a natural extension of self-respect. It means knowing where to draw the line and having the courage to maintain it. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about protecting what is important. They define what is acceptable and what is not, both in how others treat her and how she allows herself to be treated. Without boundaries, it becomes easy for others to overstep, to take advantage, or to drain her emotionally. One of the challenges many face is the fear of disappointing others. A woman with strong boundaries understands that she cannot please everyone, and she does not try to. She learns to say no when necessary, even if it feels uncomfortable. That no is not a sign of selfishness. It is a sign of awareness. It shows that she values her time, her peace, and her well-being. And in reality, people often respect those who respect themselves enough to set limits. Self-respect also influences the relationship she chooses. She does not chase people who show inconsistency, disrespect, or lack of sincerity. She observes actions more than words and makes decisions based on what she sees. If someone repeatedly crosses her boundaries or fails to value her, she does not ignore it. She addresses it with clarity, and if necessary, she distances herself. Walking away is not always easy, especially when emotions are involved, but it is sometimes the only way to preserve dignity. There is also strength in how she carries herself after setting boundaries. She does not feel guilty for protecting her peace. She does not constantly explain or justify her decisions to everyone. Instead, she stands firm, trusting that those who truly respect her will understand, and those who do not were never meant to have unrestricted access to her life in the first place. Self-respect also means holding oneself accountable. It is not only about how others treat her, but also about how she treats herself. She avoids situations that compromise her values, even if they seem tempting in the moment. She is mindful of her actions, her speech, and her choices, knowing that they reflect who she is. This level of awareness builds integrity, and integrity strengthens self-respect. Over time, these boundaries create a sense of balance. She is able to give to others without losing herself. She supports, cares, and shows kindness, but not at the cost of her own well-being. She understands that she cannot pour from an empty cup, so she takes care of her own needs as well. This balance allows her to maintain healthy relationships without feeling overwhelmed or taken for granted. A woman who respects herself also carries a certain calmness. She is not constantly worried about being accepted or approved. She knows that her value does not decrease based on someone else's inability to see it. This mindset protects her from unnecessary hurt and keeps her focused on what truly matters. In the end, self-respect and boundaries are not barriers, they are safeguards. They protect her dignity, preserve her energy, and allow her to live with clarity and purpose. Even if it means standing alone at times, she chooses ihtiram for herself over temporary comfort, knowing that true strength lies in staying true to who she is. Kindness and good character are among the most beautiful qualities a woman can carry, because they reflect the state of her heart and the depth of her faith. In a world where harshness is often normalized and NASA can be quick to judge, a woman who chooses kindness stands out in a quiet yet powerful way. Her presence brings ease, her words bring comfort, and her actions leave a lasting echo on those around her. Kindness is not just about being nice when it is easy. It is about choosing gentleness even when the zaraf are difficult. It is about controlling the tongue when anger rises, offering the tongue when anger rises, offering understanding when others fall short, and showing compassion when it is not necessarily returned. This requires strength. Anyone can respond harshly, but it takes real character to respond with grace. Good character is built in the small everyday moments. It is in how she speaks to her family, how she treats strangers, how she reacts when things do not go her way. It is in the tone of her voice, the patience in her interactions, and the sincerity in her intentions. These are the details that truly define a person. People may forget what she says, but they will always remember how she made them feel. a woman who embodies kindness does not see others as competitors. She does not feel the need to compare, to envy, or to bring others down in order to feel better about herself. Instead, she uplifts, she celebrates the success of others, makes dua for them, and offers support where she can. This mindset creates a qalb that is clean, free from jealousy and negativity. And a clean heart is a source of inner peace. Service to others is a natural extension of this character. She looks for opportunities to help, even in simple ways. A kind word, a listening ear, a small act of generosity. These may seem minor, but they carry great weight. Sometimes the smallest acts have the biggest impact. She